Hello, I'm the Wtninja, and welcome to Let's Play Dear Esther. It's a fun little indie game that, it's more about the atmosphere and the story than the actual gameplay, but I'll get into that later. I'm probably not going to talk as much during this because there's a lot of monologue that goes on, and I really don't want to talk through it, so let's get started. Oh, loading times. How I hate thee.
Dear Esther, the gulls do not land here anymore. I've noticed that this year they seem to shun the place. Maybe it's the depletion of the fishing stock driving them away. Perhaps it's me. When he first landed here, Donnelly wrote that the herds were sickly and their shepherds the lowest of the miserable classes that populate these Hebridean islands. 300 years later, even they have departed.
Alright, so this game is very much so about atmosphere. As you can see, it's fairly creepy, desolate, alone, and if anyone can tell me what that is, feel free. I would like to know. Probably should have done research on it or something. Want to see something really gross? Just walk right into this room and look down. Isn't that lovely? Alright. So like I said, this game's mostly about atmosphere, and to really get the story, you have to play through it a couple times. It's very interesting. It's one of those games that, although it doesn't last long, you're gonna remember it. I like it. The atmosphere is fantastic. I'm gonna say that so many times throughout this. I already know. You could almost just start the game up, turn on your speakers real loud, and just let it sit there and just listen to this. You could probably fall asleep pretty easily to it. It's like, look at this. It's so lonely, so desolate. You really feel like there's nothing around, just you and your thoughts. Oh look, trapper's cage. Oh look, more trapper's cages. Awesome. Alright. Now, you're supposed to go up that way, but I'm gonna go on a detour real fast. Just right over
you
here.
can see the lights sometimes from a passing tanker or trawler. From up on the cliffs they are mundane. Down here, they fugue into ambiguity. For instance, I cannot readily tell if they belong above or below the waves. The distinction now seems banal. Why not everything and all at once? There's nothing better to do here than indulge in contradictions whilst waiting for the fabric of life to unravel.
If anyone can tell me exactly what this is, I would like to know. I think it has something to do with trajectory or shooting something, but I really don't know. Maybe I'm just not as well educated as I thought. I don't know, but feel free to tell me. I would like to know some of these things. So, wow, I just spend most of my time being quiet and looking around and listening to this music. If I get quiet, it's because I'm listening to the music or the sound effects. It's just, I love this kind of music to begin with anyway. Orchestrated or classical. I could sit here forever and listen to this, I think. Read a book. Enjoy my time. So much fun. And that's our destination up there with that red blinking light. That's where we're ultimately headed. So just keep heading towards it, more or less.
A wonderful sight. The moon cresting the junction between the cliff path and the stone circle. It cast a shadow of the ridge across the beach, all the world as if you had signed your name in untidy handwriting.
Yeah. So this story is told through monologue. These are supposed to be, I think, letters. But more on that later. I don't want to spoil too much of it. I'll talk more about the story as it becomes more relevant. For now.
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boat, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this, to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
Alright. So, like I was saying,
I quote directly, "A motley lot with little to recommend them. I have now spent 3 days in their company. That is, I fear, enough for any man not born amongst them. Despite their tedious inclination to quote scripture, they seem to me the most God-forsaken of all the inhabitants of the Outer Isles. Indeed, in this case, the very gravity of that term, forsaken by God, seems to find its very apex. It appears to me that Donnelly, too, found those who wander this shoreline to be adrift from any chance of redemption. Did he include himself in that, I wonder?"
So like I was saying, the story is mostly told through these monologues. And the more, as you play through the game over and over, more of the monologue is given to
Dear
you.
Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life. I threw my arms wide and the cliff opened out before me, making this rough home. I transferred my belongings from the bothy on the mount and tried to live here instead. It was cold at night, and the sea lapped at the entrance at high tide. To climb the peak, I must first venture even deeper into the veins of the island, where the signals are blocked altogether. Only then will I understand them, when I stand on the summit and they flow into me, uncorrupted.
Alright. So, I love those sounds. It's just so cool. The first time I played through this, when I walked back out here, I was so confused. I was like, didn't I just come through this entrance? Didn't I just go in there? And I was really lost. I had no idea where I was going. So I just followed along this. Apparently this is the way to go. But the cave is just awesome. It's nice to walk through it. The atmosphere in there is just so cool. The sounds, how it all kind of changes as you're entering it. So dynamic. Alright. Just listen to that music. I'm gonna have so many people make jokes about me for this. I already know.
I dreamt I stood in the center of the sun, and the solar radiation cooked my heart from the inside. My teeth will curl, and my fingernails fall off into my pockets like loose change. If I could stomach, I'd eat, but all I seem capable of is salt water. Were the livestock still here, I could turn feral and gorge. I'm as emaciated as a body on a slab, opened up for a premature source of death. I've rowed to this island in a heart without a bottom, all the bacteria of my gut rising up to sing to me.
Alright, got this weird kind of Stonehenge thing going on here. More of these chemistry diagrams or something. Alright. Kind of two paths you can go. I'm going this way. if you decide to get this game and play through it, do a lot of exploring, just as much of it as you can. And there is a death scene if you get too far away. Just kind of like flashes some random images at you and tells you to come back or something. But don't worry about it. It's not like it'll say game over and you'll have to start from the beginning or anything. It's pretty nice about that kind of stuff, so you don't have to worry about it. And this ends off episode 1. It's been the White Ninja. Thanks for watching.